Hello, my name is Jay Ponteri, and I am teaching Lit 328, the short story. Okay, here we are, spring quarter. I'm going to make some just brief remarks today about the form of the short story. I'm going to tell you a few things here. The short story is a form. It's a narrative form, a fictional form. And it is brief. It could be from anywhere from 3 to 50 pages. Once you get to 50 pages, you're entering into the form of the novella or the short novel. The short story tends to be focused in terms of its dramatic conflict. So it has usually one or two sources of dramatic conflict that gets developed and worked out over the course of the story's plot. That dramatic conflict arises from a character's inner conflict, of course. A short story tends to only have one, usually one, but sometimes two protagonists. Those protagonists can be in the form of a viewpoint character, if it's in third person, or in the form of a first-person narrator. Most short stories just have a single viewpoint character, and that character is becoming something other. So as we work this quarter and read many short stories, the first job, of course, for us is to really identify who the protagonist is, who's the viewpoint character, who is the narrator, and to really consider what character is becoming something other. A short story tends to pass through very little time. It might maybe over the course of an evening, over the course of a few days, over the course of a minute, in the case of Tobias Wolff's Bullet in the Brain. A short story tends to inhabit just, very few physical spaces. The inside of a car, a hotel room, a bar, a sort of patio. Short stories, unlike novels, tend to be sort of tightly focused in not only its physical space, but its psychic space, its emotional space. You will see that when you read Flannery O'Connor's A Good Man is Hard to Find. And we're sort of an air of discomfort and menace that we are sort of inhabiting throughout the story. The last thing I'll say about short stories is that they're sort of somewhere in between the novel and the poem. They really like the poem. There's very little excess language. Sentences are really polished and beautifully what's the word for it? Concise, beautifully concise. There's just not a lot of excess in a short story. Short story writers, like the poets, make use of white space, image and metaphor, and a lot of sort of the sound or sonic methods that poets use. And I love the short story for that reason, because it's part poem. So this week we're going to be reading, we're going to kind of start with some foundation work. We're going to read a short story by Heinrich von Kleist. He wrote in German. He was a Prussian man, and he is considered our very first short story writer. That's right. He was writing sort of at the turn of the 19th century. And then we're going to read a very famous story from the 20th century by Flannery O'Connor. A Good Man is Hard to Find. Wow! get ready for a good ending. Alright, people. We're going to have these video lectures. I'm going to throw out these video lectures every week. Usually I have a pug in them, but I couldn't get my pug down here. So I guess you'll get that next week. Alright, talk to you later.